Nostalgia is one of those most powerful things that you'll ever encounter in your life, and I wanted to go and just talk about Pokemon Diamond and Pearl because these games made my childhood. If you look at the case, it has a foil to it, and a lot of the newer games in the series after they don't have that anymore. Pokemon Diamond was my copy. Pokemon Pearl was my sister's copy. And what was so magical about this was right before the internet became super big. So playing games like these, you had to do everything by yourself. And I think when people think of the old Pokemon games, that's really what it comes down to, is we had to do everything ourselves. We didn't have tutorials to look up. We didn't have sort of guides. This was one of those games that when you were playing it, they didn't tell you what was super effective. They didn't tell you what was weak. So going into it, you were playing with the party that you created. You didn't create some stupid meta. You created your favorite team. You took the 6 Pokemon that you really loved in the game, and you made the most out of it. And that's why Cynthia kicked our ass as kids. And so talking about before the cell phone era, we had these things, the strategy guides. And this was the best thing. This was before Cerebi.net. I mean, Cerebi.net was a thing, but the wide use of it. And I loved it because this thing showed you all the evolutions of all the Pokemon at the time. When I was a kid, I would figure out, okay, is this Pokemon going to be worth it to train and level up to get it into my Pokedex, or should I ignore it? There was a ton of things to like look at when you got bored. It had Pokemon sprite art on the back, and this just made my childhood. When it came around to getting me one of these bad boys, I didn't get this for Christmas. I didn't get this for my birthday. I had to be nice for an entire month to prove to my mother that I was more than capable of getting something as deserving as a Nintendo DS. So when I got this, I got it with Pokemon Diamond. And I had Pokemon Emerald, and I had Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, all those games, even the first gen. Something about this game just was monumental, and a lot of the memories that I had with it was because of the experiences outside of the game itself. One of my best memories was when I played this game side by side with one of the girls that was at my babysitter's, and our goal was to play the game from start to finish and beat it together. I would get mad when she would go ahead, but when it got to the very end of the game, I couldn't wait anymore. I had to beat the Elite Four, and I just remember her mom was so pissed off because I went ahead and went out of the order and beat it before she could. And the best part about the game too was there was so much to experience after you beat the Elite Four, whereas other games you were really limited to the things you could do. You got an entire new extra part of the map that you got to fully explore and get new Pokemon. Can't forget about the underground. The underground just made the base building concept from Generation 3 through the roof. Like, this thing was amazing. You could go mining, get things to put in your base, and you can go online and have all these people running around checking out your base as well. Unheard of at the time was the Wi-Fi, and adding that Wi-Fi connectivity, and the global trade system, and you could just trade Pokemon across the world, and you would see hacked Pokemon because of action replay all over. And I got so many hours out of Pokemon Diamond because of this freaking device. This device is by far the reason why a lot of us probably played Pokemon Diamond and Pearl a lot longer than we wanted to. The ability to get level 100 Pokemon, get infinite items, walk through walls. You're walking through hours of trees. You're battling with random Pokemon that you're not supposed to be having. The amount of experiences with this, you didn't have to go to Toys R Us to get Arceus anymore. You could just put the code in and get Arceus. You could literally walk through walls to get to Shaman. This thing was limitless, but at the same time, it was scary because if this thing corrupted on you, you were shitting yourself as a kid because you thought you broke your game or you corrupted something, and then you get all those like odd eggs and Pokerus and you thought it was a virus. This thing was legit. Pokemon Sapphire got an amazing port, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, and you would think the same thing with Pokemon Diamond, but we get trash. We could have had a really cool 3D adventure that took the base of the first game and applied it to this game. And that's why this game's trash. They should have just focused on this game. What I liked about Pokemon Platinum was the seasonal theming that this game had. It had a fall season, and so you were wearing a bunch of clothing that was a little bit like thicker, had coats on, gave that Sinnoh vibe of how it was a colder climate, and it just made to the overall experience. Before I crucify myself on the internet, this was a fun experience. This was like nostalgia for a 10-year-old, which doesn't make any sense. So I played the original Silver game, And when this came out, I was already feeling nostalgia. Like listening to the music updated in the new sound font, that nostalgic Gen 4 sound font made the game more enjoyable, and just being able to experience Kanto and Johto all over again. This was nostalgia before the true nostalgia, how we feel today. I wanted to share my Pokemon stories with you because nostalgia is important. Don't let anybody ruin it for you. Memories are the most important thing, and it helps you get closer to your inner child. And I make a ton of nostalgic content for you to enjoy. I'll see you on the next video. Deuces.